After writing 2 transformational books myself and supporting many other beings to do the same, I've become enthralled by the deep and mysterious magic that's activated when we choose to say yes to ourselves and commit to the book writing journey. Of course, we want to inspire change and new perspectives in our readers, but the transformation that happens as an author, both throughout the writing process and by actually releasing your book into the world, is surprisingly potent. I know I've been blindsided in the most disruptive and delicious ways by some of the changes my books have brought into my life. Writing a book is like casting a spell. Although we can never be completely sure what's going to be unleashed during the process, we choose to do it anyway. This Unbound one is a heroic journey. Each book has the potential to be a magical portal, a doorway to a new world, both for you and your reader. Each book has a very specific medicine that it's here to share with us. And each book gives us the opportunity to alchemize the magnificent imperfection of our experience into gold. The truth is that anyone can write a book. We could all get a few thousand words down and put them together. But what fascinates me is what happens when we allow the book writing process to go deeper. When we say, fuck it, get naked and dive way down beneath the surface. Letting go of the shoulds and any need to be acceptable, sensible, or approved of. What fascinates me is what happens when we make ourselves fully available to being transformed by the very act of writing a book. This is Unbound Writing, and this is the process we'll be exploring together here in the Unbound Writers Club. I'm Nicola, author and founder of the Unbound Press, and I help magical beings to write the transformational book they're really here to write at this time. I'm your guide here in the Unbound Writers Club, and the aim of this podcast is to help you to feel supported, encouraged, activated as you embark on your book writing journey. Whether you're a first-time author or have many books out in the world, my hope is that you will find something here to inspire you. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club. It is so good to be here with you today when I am going to be talking about what happens when we give ourselves the opportunity to be held and supported through our book writing journeys. And specifically, I'm going to be talking about the Unbound Writing Mastermind, which is kind of a signature group process at Unbound HQ. It's been in place, the mastermind, since even before the Unbound Press was started. So the first round of the Unbound Writing Mastermind started in the summer of 2018, and it's been running pretty continuously ever since. Doors are opening again soon, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a kind of behind the scenes taste of what it is like to be a member of the Unbound Writing Mastermind and why you may want to consider being part of it when the doors open again. You know, it is so easy when we are feeling the call to write a book. You know, we can feel really fired up at the beginning, and there can be this belief of, well, you know, I should be able to do this on my own. You know, I know how to write. I can probably kind of cobble some information together and, you know, I should be able to just sit down and do this. And I get that, you know, it's very much what I did with my first book, Heal Your Inner Good Girl. I, you know, didn't have space held for me as I was writing that book. And, you know, it got written. It got written. I put it out there into the world. And to be honest, once it went out there into the world, I felt this sense of anti-climax because I had done it on my own. You know, I did have an accountability buddy in place when I was writing that first book, which, you know, thank the goddess for that. That really did make a difference. But there was no one really to kind of celebrate with once Heal Your Inner Good Girl was released. And yeah, I very much felt this sense of, oh, is that it? And I knew that I wanted to do things differently with Unbound, my second book. And I did. I approached that very differently. I mean, one, I had the most amazing mentor holding space for me throughout the writing of that book, which allowed me to go on this incredible transformational journey as I was writing Unbound. And I think you can tell that when you read the book. I was really able to access what wanted to come through rather than approaching it in this more kind of head-based way, like trying to plan it out. Which, you know, to be honest, Heal Your Inner Good Girl, you know, it was coming from a more heady place because that's the advice that I received at the beginning of writing that book through like information that I was accessing at the time. So I did that differently with Unbound. I had like a really amazing space held for me. And also when I came to release it, I knew that I just didn't want to do that on my own. And so that's when I actually came to That Guy's House Publishing, who I published Unbound with, and that idea of having a publisher who was going to be there supporting me, being part of a community of other authors, that really, really appealed to me. And of course, that then went on to lead to the formation of the Unbound Press. So, you know, this is what can happen when we have support in place. You know, we find ourselves moving more deeply onto our own soul paths. So, you know, that's very much been my experience. The quality of the creative process and what is able to come through when we allow ourselves to be held and supported in some way, it's so much deeper and richer. You know, we feel more supported as writers. And that's why, like back in 2018, I was so kind of inspired to create the Unbound Writing Mastermind, which, as I said, is this group process. It's a 12-month process, so it is gorgeously spacious. People join where the doors open a couple of times a year, so they'll be opening again very shortly in April. And then they'll open again towards the end of this year. So people can join a couple of times a year, and we have members who are already in the mastermind. So when you join there, you'll be joining writers who are at different stages of their book writing journeys. And that is so, so beneficial because you get to be in community with and hear from other writers. Like many of the writers in the Unbound Writing Mastermind have already released their first book, maybe working on their second book or third even. They've been through the process of writing and publishing their books, and they can speak to everything that's involved in that and the challenges, and you get to like have that model to you that it is so possible to kind of move through the times when, yes, it feels challenging, and the times when maybe you feel like you are wanting to give up, and to see what it's like when your book is actually going out there into the world. So I love that kind of element of support that you get to experience by being part of a group like the Unbound Writing Mastermind. And I know that, you know, there can be a reluctance to being part of a group process. It can feel much safer and more comfortable to think, oh, well, maybe I'll hire a book coach and work one-to-one with somebody, because you know, there can be this idea that, oh, but then it's going to be more specific to my own process, and it can feel less vulnerable because obviously when you're working one-to-one, you know, it's just your connection with that person. Being part of a group can feel edgy, it can feel risky, and many of us are carrying wounds around, you know, particularly being together in community with other women. We may have experienced times in the past at school or in work environments where we felt bullied or excluded or, you know, not felt understood. And I get that, you know, there can be this resistance and this reluctance to being part of a circle of women, particularly when it comes to something as transformational and healing as writing a book and sharing your story. But actually, this is where the magic is. And this is why I'm such a huge fan of creating in community, being part of a group process, because, obviously I'm there with the Unbound Writing Mastermind. I am holding space. I'm there to answer your questions, to speak to any challenges that are coming up. But you also get to access the wisdom of each of the other writers in the group. And, as one person is sharing what's coming up for them, and maybe that's a challenge or a question they have coming up, or a doubt or a fear. Maybe it's a celebration, like something they're celebrating, a success, like a breakthrough, whatever it is. Like every time somebody shares, that has the potential to activate some kind of deeper insight, awareness, like spark off some of a form of creativity in you. We are continually getting our magic reflected back to us when we're in community. And there is so much more potential in that experience than purely working one-to-one. And if I'm working with somebody one-to-one, I do have a handful of one-to-one clients. I always recommend that they are part of the mastermind as well, because there is so much power in that community. And like I said, you get to hear from people at different stages of the book writing journey. So it can really carry you along. So, the reason that I wanted to talk about this today is, obviously doors are opening. And if you're feeling the call, I would love you to be part of it. But I really wanted to speak to this piece of, this belief that we can carry that I should be able to do it on my own. And if you are listening to this, I am pretty sure that you are a space holder yourself in some way. Maybe you run your own business. Maybe you're a coach, you're a healer, you're some kind of facilitator or mentor, or, a creative. We're all creative. So you are used to holding space for people, of being of service, and that's most likely where you're feeling the call to write this book. And when we are used to being in that role, it can feel unfamiliar to actually allow ourselves to have space held for us, to allow ourselves to enter into a container of support. Many of us are used to being kind of lone wolves. I know that I absolutely was. But there's something very special that happens when we actually say, I probably could do this on my own, because I'm sure you could. Like you absolutely could. But I'm going to choose to allow myself to be held through this. I feel that my process is going to be so much richer through having this support in place. And, this can't help but ripple out. The impact of it can't help but ripple out not only into your book and your writing process, but also the rest of your work as well. Like you get to be in community with all of these other amazing space holders. Every single person within the Unbound Writing Mastermind is just the most magical and powerful space holder themselves. And if you're listening to this thinking, oh, well, that's not me, I would challenge you on that, because I would say if you are listening to this, like one, you are absolutely magical. And even if you don't quite realize it yourself, like maybe you just do this naturally in your interactions with people, but you are a powerful space holder, and your book gets to hold a powerful space as well. So in terms of kind of practicalities with the mastermind, like I said, it's a year-long process, and the intention of it is to ensure that you feel really held and supported through the whole of your book writing journey. So from that first spark of an idea, feeling the call, right through to creating your first draft, taking your reader on a journey through your book, like bringing through your story in the most powerful way, getting to a point where you have that first draft, then you have your completed manuscript, and you are able to publish and release it into the world. And one of the changes that we have made to the Unbound Writing Mastermind with this round is like the default option is going to be that you get to include a full publishing package when you join the mastermind. So you already know, like right from the beginning, okay, once my book is written, I'm going to have that support in place. My book will be released through the Unbound Press. Like I know I'll get the support with editing, design, distribution, like everything is going to be handled for me. So it's always been an option. You know, if you're a member of the mastermind, then you have had access to discounted rates for our publishing packages with the Unbound Press. There's been the opportunity to include that if you felt called. But what I've realized is actually having that in place right from the beginning of your book writing journey can feel so incredibly supportive for you as a writer, because it, like that question of like, oh, how am I going to publish this, can take up a lot of like mental and emotional space through your book writing journey. But it also feels incredibly supportive to your book. Like, you know, again, if you've listened to the Unbound Writers Club before, you may well have heard me speak about how, you know, your book has an essence and energy, like a soul, a spirit of its own. And you want your book to feel really supported through this process as well. And when your book knows that it's got a way, like a clear way of making its way into the world, it's going to respond to that and flow through more freely. So I wanted to make it really, really easy for everyone joining the mastermind, you know, to be able to have a publishing package as part of that. So when you join, you know that all that support is in place to write your book and also to publish it. So like I said, throughout that 12 months, you are completely supported through the whole of your book writing and book birthing journey. What we've also done with that, because usually people will pay over 12 months when they join the mastermind, or you can opt to pay upfront. But what we've also done this round is we're offering a longer term payment plan. So if it feels more easeful to pay in installments over 18 months, then you're able to do that as well. And I just wanted to say about the publishing package, if you're listening to this and thinking, oh, I'm not sure if I wanted to commit to the publishing side of it. You know, I just wanted to have that support in place of being part of the mastermind. That is still very much an option, but we've just switched kind of the default option to include a publishing package because that felt most supportive. So you still get the option to do either of those. In terms of what you have access to within the mastermind, like this is the highest level of support that I offer personally, unless somebody is working with me one-to-one. Every month, you have the opportunity to attend up to 6 live calls, and they are a combination of group mentoring calls where we come together and you have the opportunity to share any questions or challenges that are coming up for you, and I will speak to those. We have our famous Unbound writing sessions where we come together on Zoom. I open up the space and you have dedicated time for your writing or whatever you want to be doing in relation to your book, whilst being held within the gorgeous group energy. They're incredibly powerful. We have show up and share circles once a month, and this is a call where you get to do what it says in the title, show up and share some of your writing if you feel called. Like you get to speak your words into the circle and have them be received by the other women in the space. There is no obligation to share your writing in this way, but many of the writers in the mastermind find this incredibly powerful and useful to both share their words and also hear what's coming through for others. It's a really, really beautiful session. And we also have a monthly play shop where we dive into the particular focus for each month. So each month within the mastermind, we have a different focus, which may be a particular stage of the book writing journey, or it might be one of the different layers of the unbound writing process, like bringing more pleasure into your writing or harnessing the power of your cyclical nature. So every month we have one of these play shops where we get to dive into that a little bit deeper. And as well as the live calls, you have the community space, which we house over on Mighty Networks. So it's away from Facebook. It used to be on Facebook, but what we found is Facebook can be quite a distracting space. And actually, many of our members choose not to be present on Facebook now. So we have a dedicated space over in Mighty Networks, which is just a really gorgeous and supportive community for all of the mastermind members. And you also get access to weekly accountability, weekly writing prompts to keep you on track, just whatever you need to support you through your book writing journey. So I really feel that the Unbound Writing Mastermind is something quite unique. It's a creative community, a creative sisterhood like no other. Everybody is so incredibly supportive in the space. I know, again, it can feel kind of edgy to come into a space where, you know, there's already members and it's like, oh, feeling like the new girl. Everyone is so welcoming. And obviously I am there to welcome you in as well. And there will be a new wave of members joining in April when we open the doors again. And I would just love to say to you, if it's something that's calling to you, if you are wanting to make that commitment to writing your book and you know that you would find it beneficial to be supported as you're doing that, if you are willing to experience your book writing journey as one of transformation and healing, where you move more deeply into your unique gifts, I would be so very happy to welcome you into the mastermind. Right now, as this episode is going out, we have a wait list, and you can join the wait list. We'll put the link in the show notes, and I am going to try and remember what it is. It's nicolahumber.com. I should have looked this up, shouldn't I, before I started recording? But anyway, it's nicolahumber.com/unbound writing mastermind waitlist, all one word. You can join the waitlist there, and when you do, that means you will be amongst the first to hear when the doors open, so you'll receive all of the details then. But if you've got any questions at all, do come and find me. You can find me on Instagram. I'm at Nicola Humber. Just pop into my DMs and just let me know you're interested and ask any questions that you've had. I would love to speak to those for you. Or you can email me at nicola@nicolahumber.com. Be very happy to hear from you there. But yeah, like I said, you don't have to do this alone. In fact, it's so much more beneficial and powerful and potent when you allow yourself to be held and supported. You don't have to be, but you get to be. And you deserve to be, because I am pretty sure that the book you're feeling called to write, is one that's so very needed in the world. So it would be my honor to hold space for that through the Unbound Writing Mastermind. Okay, my love. Well, I look forward to hearing from you if you have any questions. And here's to writing the book that your soul is calling you to write. I'll see you again very soon.